Welcome back to Mrs. Cox's Classroom, and today we're going to be talking about the beginning of the year review for 8th grade. And so I have 9 days of review. It's all based on reviewing their 7th grade standards. So that's what this is all about. So now I'm getting ready to talk about the beginning of the year for 8th graders. And for 8th grade, now these students I already had last year for 7th grade. And so my review for 8th graders is absolutely a review of 7th grade math and all the important concepts in 7th grade that I want them to retain to help them with their 8th grade math. And so that's how it starts. Welcome back to Mrs. Cox's Classroom, and today we're going to be talking about the beginning of the year review for 8th grade. And so I have 9 days of review, and it's all based on reviewing their 7th grade standards. So that's what this is all about. Hi, and welcome back to Mrs. Cox's class. And today we're going to look at the 8th grade beginning of the year review day 2. And now this one is focusing all on the concept of proportionality, unit rate, and that basic idea of y equals kx. That basic idea of looking at a proportion and being able to understand what's going on. So we'll look at proportions. We'll look at constant of proportionality as we focus on that. And that's a big part of what we did in 7th grade. So it's a skill that I want them to be really, really good at by the time they get into 8th grade. So again, it's my whole focus for review day 2. So I'll log on to Get More Math here, and I'll go to the work. And under my 8th grade folder, there is a beginning of the year. And it's beginning of the year review day 2. And this one, it's all identifying equivalent ratios and things like that. So let me get this assigned to my summer school group number 2. And that's now been assigned. So I'll come over here and I'll log on as a student. And when I log on, beginning of the year review day 2 is going to automatically pop up since I just assigned it. And these are the skills. So this is looking at unit rates. The skill code is 222007. This was graphing proportions, so they actually will work on this graph, and this is 148100. This one, which ratio is not equivalent? 224003. This is super important because I want to keep reminding them that a ratio is just the same thing as a fraction. We need to get them to really understand that skill really, really well. The next one, they're actually going to fill in a table. This is skill code 148200. And again, these are all proportions. And then we're looking at find the distance traveled when they did in miles. So again, this is skill code 222009. And then the last one is seeing if they can look at an equation and recognize the constant of proportionality. And that's skill code 148500. So hopefully some of these are actually very, very easy for my students, and it should feel pretty easy. They have to do 12 points for the day. And so now if they switch over to mixed review, we're going to see that mixed review now is a combination of yesterday's review 1 and today's review 2. And again, this is all the 7th grade standards that I want them to master. And as more and more students get these mastered, then I'll actually eliminate them once I feel that they're comfortable with them again here at the beginning of the year. So my hope is this first couple of weeks that math is actually pretty easy, gets them back into the swing of working, and reminds them of the important things that I wanted them to remember and to carry from 7th grade into 8th grade. Okay, so now I'll actually put on the video where I actually taught this lesson to my students. Hi, so today is day 2 of the review. And of course, if you turn the page in the math book, you probably saw that it got a little bit harder. So let's just get straight to it and start working. This is the BOY review day 2. You want to go ahead and get your workbook open. This is going to be page S6 as we start to work on this. This is going to look at equivalent ratios, rates, equations, graphs, and tables. So it's actually quite a bit. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you're up and ready to go for this. Write the missing term to make these ratios equal. So just a reminder about ratios. We could rewrite these as fractions, right? So it's going to be the x on top over 7 is equal to 26 over 14. We can use the cross products property, and the cross products property tells us that x times 14 is equal to 7 times 26. But before I do all of that work, because that's a good little bit of work, right? We're going to have 14x is equal to, and then 7 times 6 is 42, carry the 4, and that's going to be 182. And then we're going to have to divide by 14. But let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can reduce this first. I always like to reduce this because it makes it easier. And I notice they're even, so we can divide them both by 2. 26 divided by 2 is 13. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. So what I end up with is x over 7 is equal to 13 over 7. Well, I should be able to see right away that my answer is going to be 13. It's one reason why I want you to reduce. Sometimes you actually end up with the answer when you do the reduction. So the answer is 13, and that's what you would put into the Get More Math. The next one, which of these ratios is not equivalent to the others? Now, here's what starts to happen. You have multiple choice. If you start just guessing on these, you're going to end up with penalties, and you're going to end up with a ton of penalties. You're going to get very frustrated because every time you get a penalty, you have to solve one question correctly to just remove a penalty. It doesn't even count for your point. So if you rack up 6 penalties, you have to get 12 problems right before you start getting points again. So it's not worth it to do that. So make sure that you're really paying attention to how to solve these. First thing you do is you convert them all to fractions, and then you reduce them to their lowest terms and you compare, okay? So you just write them as fractions, and then you reduce them. And so we look at 5/11. Well, this is prime, so it's going to be 5/11. These are both even, so we can divide them by 2, right? So we divide them both by 2, we're going to get 10. And we divide this by 2, we get 22. And then we can divide that again, divide by 2, we get 5/11. And so by doing that, we already see these two are equivalent. So the one that's not is this one. And then I'll save this for class. So let's go ahead and look over here. It says Patrick loaded 6 trucks every 18 minutes. And at that rate, how many would he load in 12 minutes? So again, I want you to remind you that you're going to write your ratio or your fraction exactly in the same order that we see this. So it's going to be truck per minute. And that's going to be equal to, now we'll go back and we'll take the numbers. So it's going to be 6 per 18. And it just says, hey, at that rate, how many would he load in 12 minutes? So since it's minutes, we're going to put the 12 down here with the minutes and the x right here. And again, we can do that exact same thing with the cross products property. But before we do that, let's reduce this one. And I can see they can both be divided by 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. 18 divided by 6 is 3. And then this becomes a much easier problem because we end up with just 3x is equal to 12. We divide both sides by 3, and we end up with x is equal to 4. And so our answer is 4 trucks. We have to be really careful with that because there's our x. So it's trucks. So it's 4. The next one's problem number 7 right here. We'll do that one. And it says that Kiara is buying clocks. This chart shows how the cost depends on the number of clocks purchased. When she buys 6, she pays $6. When she buys 7, she pays $7. When she buys 8, she buys $8. How much does each clock cost? So when they're asking you how much does each clock cost, they're looking for the K value. Now remember the formula, y equals K times X. So we're looking for K. To find K, it's y over X. So let's go back over here. We just start substituting. Y over X is 6 divided by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 7 divided by 7 is 1. And 8 divided by 8 is 1. So we know that they're going to cost $1. And then they want us to write an equation. When we write an equation, what we're going to do is we're going to take this formula right here, and we're just going to substitute the K. And that's all you do. So the formula is y is equal to 1x. You could also, since it's a 1, you could also write y is equal to x. They're both exactly correct. They're saying the exact same thing, okay? Graph a rate to represent the relationship between the number of clocks purchased and how much Akira would spend. So what we can do is we can just go straight to any one of these numbers and just graph it, okay? So the first one you always graph is the origin. And the origin would happen is, well, what if she bought 0? Well, if she bought 0, it's going to cost her $0, right? Because 1 times 0 is 0. So we know we're going to have the origin. The next one is going to be, okay, well, what about if she buys 7? It's $7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you put your second one. When you do that, the computer is automatically going to create your arrow for you, okay? So you want to make sure that that's how you do it. You do the origin first, and then you plot the other point, and then the computer will graph it. I think these are basically saying pretty much the same kinds of things, so we'll work on one of those in class. And then we want to take a look at these problems because these seem to get you guys messed up a lot too. So we want to take a look at these. Sarah travels 50 miles per hour. So you need to recognize that when you see 50 miles per hour right here, it's giving you the unit rate, okay? So this number is not part of the unit rate. This is right here, and it's 50 miles per hour. So you're going to do miles per hour, and it's saying that she does 50 miles per hour or per 1 hour. And she does that for 5 hours, so find the distance. So we're going to have hours here. It's going to go down here in the denominator. The x is going to go in the numerator. And then we just use our cross products property. 1 times x is x, and 50 times 5 is 250. So the answer is 250 miles. That's how far she traveled in 5 hours. Same thing. It's telling you that it's 84 miles per hour. So again, we do miles per hour is equal to 84 per hour means per 1 hour. And he travels for 77 miles. So now the 77 goes up here. And we have to figure this out. So now we use our cross products property. So we get 84x is equal to 77 times 1, which is 77. We want to get x by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by 84. It says round to the nearest tenth. So we're going to do this right over here. So let me go to a black. 77 divided by 84. So again, you have to know your 84s, and you probably don't. So let's create a series over here. And again, you might as well just put this in the front of your book. So we're going to add 84 and 84, so we get 168. And then 4 plus 8 is 12. Carry the 1. 9, 6 is 15. Carry the 1, and that becomes a 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 84 goes into 7 0 times. 84 goes into 77 0 times. So now we've got our decimal, and we have to keep going to 770. So 4 plus 6 is 10. Carry the 1. 8 plus 1 is 9 plus 3 is 12. Carry the 1, and 3 plus 1 is 4. So it looks like it goes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And that's going to be 756. And then, of course, we'll have to borrow. So it becomes 4, 1, so it becomes 14. So we'll add a 0, and 84 goes into 140 just one time. Well, we have to round to the nearest tenth. It was 0.9 or 1.0, so because of the nearest tenth. And we're leaving that alone, so it's just 0.9 hours. And that's what you'll write, 0.9 hours. All right, let's take a look at some of these other ones here. Some right here we actually have to fill in the chart. Make sure you remember what to fill in for the chart. And we'll go back here, and we'll do number 16 right here, because it has all those same elements. And this one says Sam is buying tires. The equation shows how the total cost Y depends on the number of tires purchased, X. So X is the number of tires purchased, D is the dollars, and it says that Y is equal to 1X. They want you to fill in the table to show how much each tire costs. Well, there's always 2 particular things you must have here. The very first one you must do is the origin. Okay, so that is the first one. If you don't, Get More Math is going to mark this wrong. Okay, so the first one is the origin. The origin is at 0, 0. The next one that you have to place here is the unit rate. You have to tell me, so just a reminder of unit rate. Unit rate happens when X equals 1. That's unit rate. So we make X 1, and then we just substitute the math. 1 times 1 is 1. So when X is 1, Y is 1. And then the last one, you can just put any point you want. So it doesn't matter at all. You just have to have a third point that actually works. And so a lot of times I just go with either 2 or 5, because I know I can multiply by 2s and 5s really easy. 5 times 1 is 5. And then it wants to know, how much does each tire cost? Well, the cost is the same as the K value. And that's right there. And so each tire is going to cost $1. Then they actually want you to graph it. So when you graph, first thing I want you to always do is you're going to graph the origin, right? So these are the 2 points you should graph on the graph. So the first one is the origin at 0, 0. And this one, because it's so small, I'd say go ahead and do the other 0.5. But you have to do the first one, the origin first. Otherwise, it'll put the arrow going in the wrong direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. And then you draw your arrow like that. And so once you place the second one, Get More Math will actually draw the line for you. And I think that's it. They're all pretty much the same from there. So I think I'm going to stop right there, and we'll do some more problems tomorrow in class that are a mixture of these. So this was beginning of the year, review 2, equivalent ratios, rates, equations, graphs, and tables. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. All right, you guys, you have a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. And then remember, if you're enjoying my videos, please subscribe and like. Thank you.